Hello everyone, welcome to today's news chatter. Before getting into the most important topics of the day, let's have a look at a practice prelims question. To take a look at this, four different statements are provided about registered unrecognized political parties. So which among the following statement is correct? So it's a very easy question, just that you need to know about registered unrecognized political parties. So what exactly they are and why do we need to know about them? We will discuss later by the end of the session. For now, it's a very factual question. Just that in the recent times, what happened is the Election Commission of India gave a notification in which they mentioned that if you are having a registered unrecognized political party, it is mandatory for you to furnish the audited accounts of last 3 financial years. Get to know about this very clearly, just this particular point. If you have a registered unrecognized political party, in the last 3 years, last 3 financial years, audited accounts have to be furnished to the Election Commission of India. Else, your party will become unrecognized. That's all. About the registered unrecognized political parties, just wait until the end of the session. I will explain you what exactly it is in prelims pointers. So let's move on to the topic of the day. Kadambas of Goa. Whenever Archaeological Survey of India finds out anything which is significant from the examination point of view, which comes under the syllabus of the examination, you also should have a good idea about it. So recently there was some excavation about which relates to the Kadambas of Goa. So we don't have to study in depth about the excavation and everything because archaeology is not exactly in the syllabus. Art and culture is there, history is there. So we need to know about the Kadambas of Goa, who they are, and what are the most significant points you should know. See, the questions from ancient history in the recent times are also very random. So you need to be very clear with the current affairs, even when we talk about history point of view. So who are the Kadambas of Goa? The Shasta Deva. Shasta Deva is the king, the first Kadamba king. He is the founder of Kadambas of Goa. So this dynasty of Kadambas was founded by Shasta Deva or Shasta Deva. After coming to the power, they shifted their capital to Gopaka Pattana. Earlier, their capital was Chandor. Now Chandor is a part of South Goa. So they shifted the capital to a place called Gopaka Pattana, which at present is called as Goa. So this was a time when considered as the first golden age of Goa because Goa itself has good amount of natural wealth and the Kadambas were very efficient kings. So they developed very good empire there. So this is considered to be the golden age of Goa. So when we talk about Goa, it doesn't just mean the present day Goa. It means Goa, the surrounding places, and the Konkan region also. Konkan region is the northern part of Karnataka. So the coastal part of Karnataka. So the Konkan region also comes under the Kadambas of Goa. So they ruled Goa for around 300 years. What were their religious alignment? They practiced Shaivism, but then the significant point here is they also patronized Jainism. So this is very important. What kind of coins they issued? They issued both punch-marked coins and die-stuck gold coins. You will study about this in art and culture. What exactly is punch-marked coins? What is a die-stuck coin? You should know. So later, how did this dynasty come to an end? In 1312, invasion of Malik Kafur happened. Malik Kafur, who was the general of Alauddin Khilji, invaded Goa and he devastated the place. They didn't occupy the entire region, but they just devastated the place and they left. Then, after some 25 years, after some 15 years, what happened? Muhammad bin Tughlaq invaded and he annexed the entire region with the Delhi Sultanate. So, by this, the end of Kadambas of Goa arrived. So these are all the basic things you need to know. You don't have to know about the rulers or anything in detail. Just a basic idea you should be knowing. Aditya L1 is one of the most important topic for this year. For this upcoming prelims 2024, you can expect a question Most probably not directly, but indirectly about Aditya L1. So what exactly is Aditya L1? Aditya L1 is the mission India sent to study the sun and the phenomena that surround the sun. So it gives a very detailed idea. It will end up giving a lot of ideas about the origin of universe, or how the universe can end, or how the solar system can end, such thing. So the basic details from prelims examination point of view, Aditya L1 was conducted using a PSLV rocket. So we have two kinds of rockets, PSLV and GSLV. Usually when we have to launch anything to a nearby orbit, we use polar satellite launch vehicle. The geosynchronous launch vehicle are used for very critical and high load carrying missions. So PSLV C-57 rocket was used. This is very important. It is the first space-based observatory by India, which is going to study the sun, that is solar mission. So the total distance in which this observatory will be placed is 1.5 million kilometers. From Earth, 1.5 million kilometers, this Aditya L1 observatory will be placed, and from there it will relay information to India. What is the aim of Aditya L1 mission? It aims to provide valuable insights into the solar corona, chromosphere, photosphere, and wind. So if you are getting a prelims question, in my opinion, most probably you will get questions about these things. What is solar corona? What is a chromosphere? What is a photosphere? What are solar winds? So I'll give you a very basic detail. You don't have to get in depth and study each and every phenomenon. You just need to have a basic idea about it. Solar corona is the outermost layer of sun. So when you observe sun during solar eclipse, you can see that the entire sun will be covered by moon shadow, but then in the outermost surface, you can see a white color border. So that is called a solar corona, the outermost layer of sun. Chromosphere. Chromosphere is the surface of sun. Chromo means color. Sphere means the entire sphere. So chromosphere is the outermost surface of the sun. Photosphere is the region that is in the upper atmosphere of the sun, which from the lower atmosphere of the sun, from which the entire burning happens, and it is the red color which you can see on the sun. It comes from the photosphere only. And finally, solar winds. Solar winds are magnetic field that emerge from sun towards the planets, or towards the solar system. So how does solar wind happen? The high amount of magnetic release happen, electromagnetic fields release happens because sun rotates about itself. In 27 days, one rotation happens. So whenever, because of this continuous rotation, the magnetic fields keep entangling with each other, and because of that, solar winds emerge. A lot of electromagnetic charged particle coming out of the sun towards the space is called as solar wind. So very simple, let me repeat again. Solar corona, the outermost layer of the sun, is called as solar corona. Chromosphere, the top surface of the sun, is called chromosphere. Photosphere, the lowermost atmosphere of sun, is called as photosphere. Solar wind, high amount of charged particles, electromagnetic particles traveling from sun towards the space, is called as solar wind. So when we talk about Aditya L1, what does this L1 mean? L1 means Lagrange point 1. So what exactly is a Lagrange point? Lagrange points are special positions in a space in which two gravitational forces equate each other. That is one gravitational force. For example, here we are talking about Earth and Sun. So there are four different points in the space where Earth's gravitational field and the Sun's gravitational force balance out each other. So it will be easy for an object to be placed there. It will be static at that position because both this object's gravitational force are balanced out. So it will not get absorbed into sun, or it will not get absorbed into earth also. So that is why we have to place it on the Lagrange points. Totally five Lagrange points are there when we talk about earth and sun. So what exactly are these Lagrange points? As I told, Lagrange point is a point where Earth's gravitational force and Sun's gravitational force will negate each other, will balance out each other. So totally 5 Lagrange points are there. So what exactly are these Lagrange points? If you see here, we have L1. So in L1 position, the Aditya mission is placed so that it can continuously monitor the sun. L2 is in the opposite side of Earth, the far side of the Earth. So if you are placing anything in L2, that means the object can continuously monitor the entire space without getting the shadow of Earth. So this is L2. L4 and L5 are in opposite direction and they form a equilateral triangle. So with L4 and L5, you can easily observe asteroids, meteoroids, all other general objects. L3 is to monitor the opposite side of sun, the far side of the sun. So this basic idea you should be having. Digi Yatra. So recently there was a news that in Digi Yatra, a lot of data has been collected from the people without getting any kind of clarification or suggestion from the people. So what exactly is Digi Yatra? It is considered to be one of the best schemes by the government because it reduces the crowd in airports. Airports checking take a lot of time, huge amount of time it takes. So with Digi Yatra, the government would like to reduce the time consumption for travel. So what exactly it is? It is a project conceived to achieve contactless and seamless processing of passengers at airport. How it is done based on facial recognition technology. So what happens is a DigiYatra app will be there. You can download the app. You can put in your Aadhaar ID. You can do the verification. And before going into the airport, all you have to do is open the DigiYatra and then do a facial recognition. Once you do that, the Aadhaar and your facial recognition both will combine together and it will send message to the airport that this particular person with this particular Aadhaar ID has been tested for identification. So in the gate, you don't have to wait for all the security checkup. You can directly get into the airport. So it reduces the time, it reduces the amount of hassles a passenger has to go through before getting into the flight. How does it work? It is a decentralized mobile wallet based identity management platform. I have already explained you how it happens. It is set up as a joint venture company in 2019 and it is registered under the Companies Act of 2013. Such points are very important for prelims. Whether it is a society or whether it is a company, such points are important. So they have also formed a DigiYatra Foundation. So what is the objective of DigiYatra Foundation? To create a DigiYatra central ecosystem, create a complete ecosystem of DigiYatra based on the DigiYatra Foundation. So this DigiYatra Foundation in future will become the complete custodian of passenger ID validation process. So be very clear about DigiYatra, also important for this examination. So there was a editorial in which they have explained about the major structural problems faced by Indian education system. So if you see, for any developed country or any developing country even, research and development becomes extremely important. But the problem with India is our research and development expenditure is very less. It is just 0.7 percentage. Whereas if you consider a country like South Korea, it is 4 percentage. In other countries like China also, it is more than 2.5 percentage. So this less level of research and development expenditure should be overcome. We should start spending more on research and development. Such points should be noting down. You should be noting down all these points so that you can use in your mains answer. All these data are extremely important. Unimportant data I would never discuss. Only most important data which you can quote in the examination will be discussed here. Private sectors generally in countries which are well developed, you can see that private corporates spend around 70 percentage of the research and development expenditure. Out of the total research and development expenditure, 70 percentage comes from private sector. Whereas in India, what happens is 70 percentage come from the government. So this shows that even though we have good amount of private companies, they are not ready to spend much on research and development. So there is a need to shift the policy so that more expenditure comes from the private sector also. Very small proportion of public funding goes towards research within universities. students who are in universities should be engaging in research and development. So we need to promote that also. Another big problem with Indian education, higher education system is female labor force participation is very less. So females are getting educated these days, but are they getting employed is a big question. So we need to ensure their employment in private sector, in government sector also. Totally, we have only 27 percentage of enrollment at present. Anyone who clear the school, who complete their secondary, higher secondary education, getting into higher education for graduation is just 27 percentage. It should reach at least 50 percentage. So this should be the target. Unemployment rate among the graduates is very high in India. 34 percentage of the population who are graduated are unemployed in our country. So this clearly shows that we need to create a environment for entrepreneurship. We need to create an environment for creating businesses or getting employed very easily. So these are all the major problems which higher education faces. With lower level of education, with secondary education, school education, or a lot of other problems are there. So we need to know the problems from each and every point of view. One important point for mains examination. Several reports by private agencies state that fewer than half of India's graduates are employable in 2021. So this shows that our graduates are not employable. Our graduates who are clearing the examination with even very high marks in college level are not getting good amount of skills. So what is the major reason? The major reason is we have a lot of private institutes, private colleges, private universities here whose focus is on examination, whose focus is only to make the students score good marks. But what good will happen if they just score marks but not in a position to get employed? So such situation should change. This can change only if there is a single set of guidelines for the entire country and promotion of skill development in campuses. So according to periodic labor force survey, unemployment rate among graduates is higher than in many other developing countries. What are the solution for this? Promote MSME sector, promote research and development, promote skilling in the colleges, in the campuses itself, and divert students towards those graduation course which will provide employment, and regulation of private sector is very important. A practice mains question of the day: explain the defamation provision followed in India. In India, we have civil defamation and criminal defamation also. It comes in your polity syllabus, core syllabus. You can study about it. All you have to do is you have to start a introduction, tell a little bit about defamation in India, write one subheading: defamation provisions followed in India, civil defamation, criminal defamation. Then you talk about the future of defamation provision, whether we should follow it or not, whether we should continue it. Is it good? What are all the problems we are facing? We have discussed about it already yesterday. You can go through that video also and you can write answer for this. About unrecognized political parties, I told I will explain you about unrecognized political parties. So what exactly are unrecognized political parties? They are either newly registered parties or those which have not secured enough percentage of votes in the state assembly elections or general assembly election to become a state party. So you might be knowing that the Election Commission of India has a proper definition for a national party and a state party. To be considered as a national party and state party, you have to get at least certain percentage of votes in the election. If there is a party which is already registered with the Election Commission of India, but then not able to get that much vote, are said to be registered but unrecognized political parties. One of the major problem with registered unrecognized political parties is they are used for propagation of black money. They are used for funding of illegal things, because political parties in India does not come under Right to Information Act. Because the political parties of India does not come under the Right to Information Act, and they do not have to disclose the funds provided to them by people who are providing funds will be kept anonymous. So because of all these problems, a lot of people starts unrecognized political parties and they don't even contest in election. So such problems have to be dealt with very strictly. But one thing you also should be knowing, in the recent times from 2014 specifically, the Election Commission of India has taken several measures to prevent such problems. Such parties do not enjoy all the benefits extended to recognized parties, but then they do enjoy a lot of perks. So we need to be very strict with such unrecognized political parties. So that will be all for today. All the best. We'll meet tomorrow.